Hello, my name's Annette with Sunbeam Fabric Art. Welcome to my channel. Today is number 5 in my layer cake series. So today I'm actually taking a brand new layer cake and I'm going to challenge myself to not only make a quilt top, but I've got a batting and a backing ready to go, and I want to just make this whole quilt today and see if I can do it. So the layer cake I've chosen is it's called School is Cool by Nancy Mink 10 karat crystals. It's pretty neat. Here's a little close-up of some of the fabric. There are a lot of lights. I believe I counted 18 lights. Lighter fabrics. I'm going to be matching those up with some of the darker fabrics, and I'm just going to use this and see what I come up with. So come along with me and we'll see what happens. So the first thing I'm doing with this layer cake is I'm dividing it into lights and darks. As I said, I had already kind of pre-counted this and found out that there were about 18 lighter backgrounds. So I'm separating those, and then I'm taking the darker fabrics and I'm kind of sorting those out into different piles. I want to make sure that when I match up a dark with a light, I'm not actually using the same fabric that's on the light background with the same fabric that's on the dark background. So some of them do have the same pattern, it's just a light versus a dark background. My next step is to make some half square triangles with these giant blocks. They are 10-inch squares. I'm drawing on the back side of the lighter fabric. I'm drawing a diagonal line from corner to corner across each of the lighter 10-inch squares. Next, I'm taking a dark fabric. I'm putting it right sides together with my light fabric. I am going to sew a 1/4 inch away from the line on both sides of the line. Next, I'm going to cut directly on the line that I drew. Then I am going to press the half square triangle open to the darker side. Since I used 18 light 10-inch squares and 18 darker 10-inch squares, I now have 36 units that need to be trimmed. Now, if these squares were exactly 10 inches, and if I sewed exact 1/4 inch seams, I could trim these blocks to 9.5 inches. I actually did a pretty good job, so I did trim these to 9.5 inches. To easily trim a half square triangle with the ruler I'm using, I have a diagonal line on my ruler. I simply line that up with the seam. Now you'll see I'm kind of double checking the bottom and the left-hand side to make sure that I'm going to be able to trim this to 9.5 inches. It should overlap on the right and the top, which I'm going to trim off, and also overlap the 9.5 inch line. So I flip the block around, get that diagonal seam lined up again, then I can use the left and the bottom lining up to 9.5 inches, trim off the excess, and I've got a completely finished block. Next comes the fun part of you choosing your layout. I just like to lay these half square triangles out on the floor, and I just make last minute decisions of what I'm going to do. Once I have my layout decided upon, I pick the rows up one by one, and then I like to put a clip in the top and the left-hand side of each row. Now it's time to put these rows together. I'm taking row 1 first. I'm taking the first block in row 1 and the second block of row 1, putting those right sides together and stitching that 1/4 inch seam. Next, you'll see I grab the next 2 blocks for row 1. Same thing, I'm taking the 3rd and the 4th, putting them right sides together and stitching that 1/4 inch seam. I'm going to go through the entire stack of these blocks, but you'll notice I'm leaving those clips on the leftmost block of each row. When it's time to separate these chained units from each other, I'll be able to keep very good track of where they go in the quilt because I do have those clips. As I separate these chained units, I am keeping them in the exact order I stitched them in, and I'm keeping my seam on the same side so they're all lined up correctly. So I've got block 1 and block 2 from row 1 here, and I'm going to join those together with block 3 and block 4 of row 1. So while this is still under the needle, I thought I had enough room here, and I do. So I went ahead and did not separate this. I just flipped the edge of block 4 around, and then I'm going to add on block 5 and 6 to row 1. I continued stitching these rows the exact same way till all 6 rows were completed. Now it's time to start stitching these rows together. I'm starting with row 1, and then I'm going to take row 2 and I'm just going to flip that right sides together with row 1, and I'm going to use my clips to clip these rows together so that the seams do match up. I like to use this nesting technique where one seam goes one way, one seam goes the other way, and then I kind of use my fingers to slide them back and forth till they nest, and then I place a clip to hold it together till I get to the sewing machine. And you'll notice I leave those clips on the top and the left-hand side of my units. That way I can keep track of which goes at the top, which goes in the middle, which goes at the bottom. This quilt has 6 rows and 6 columns, so I sewed row 1 and 2 together, then row 3 and 4, then row 5 and 6, and now you'll see I'm putting the first 2 rows together with the second 2 rows, and then last I add on the row 5 and 6 unit to complete the quilt top. Since I'm going to go ahead and quilt this quilt tonight, I pressed this quilt flat. So next you're going to see I'm laying out a piece of batting. Then I'm going to lay my quilt top right on top, and I'm going to trim around so I have enough batting for my quilt top. My next step is to lay out my backing, and I do have some 108 width backing. So nice and wide, and again, just laid out my quilt top and cut out what I needed. So this is a pretty small quilt, so I am just laying this out on the floor, smoothing it out as I make my quilt sandwich. I've got the backing, the batting, and then the quilt top, and I'm just going to smooth everything out, smooth it together, flip it over, and check for any puckers. Once that's all done, I pin everything together, and then I'm going to go right to the sewing machine and start zigzag stitching with a walking foot. To quilt this quilt, I am simply sewing zigzag lines on the seams that are going diagonal one way. I didn't crisscross back the other way, I just did one direction. With just quilting zigzag lines and the size of this quilt, it did not take me very long at all to finish all these zigzag lines. Here's a little look at the front, and then I'll flip this over a little bit so you can see how it looks on the back. After finishing my zigzag quilting, I trimmed all 4 edges. I usually have a few rolls of binding pre-made around my house. This one is a batik that I made. I made quite a bit of it because it was some backing that I had left over. I had tons of it, so I had a giant roll of this batik binding. Anyway, to start my binding, I fold down an edge at a 45-degree angle and fold that down, and then I fold the binding back in half, and this makes a little pocket. So this will be the beginning of my binding. When I get all the way around to the end, I will be able to tuck the tail end of the binding into this little pocket. So starting on one side of my quilt, I'm going to go ahead and use some clips to hold the front end of this binding down. I don't want to stitch it yet. I need to keep that pocket open so that I can tuck the other end in. So I don't want to stitch right at the beginning of this binding. I'm going to go down a few inches before I start stitching. And I like to stitch my binding to the back side of my quilt with a straight stitch. Then I'll be flipping that binding around to the front side of the quilt, and I'll be stitching it down on the front side with a zigzag stitch. When I get to the end of one side, I don't stitch all the way to the end. I stop about 1/4 of an inch before I get to the end of the side. Then I stitch off to the corner at a diagonal angle, and then I break my thread. And here you can see that little diagonal seam going off the edge. Next, I'm going to fold the binding up at a 45-degree angle. Then I'm going to fold it back down upon itself along the edge of the quilt. And I'm going to start stitching from the edge and start my 1/4 inch seam again. All right, let's speed this up and get all the way around this quilt. I'm going to do each side the same way. At each corner, I'm going to sew off the edge at a diagonal angle, fold the binding up, then back down, and start stitching again. Once I get to the end, I snip that tail to match the angle, leaving enough to tuck in to the opening. Then I can complete stitching down that side, and I'm all done. It's ready to flip around to the front. Now my footage of stitching down the front of this binding got lost and damaged, so I can't show you that. But here is this quilt top with the binding all stitched down to the front. All I did was flip it to the front and use a zigzag stitch to tack it down. Up to this point, this complete quilt took me exactly 4 hours. But wait, there is more. Guess what I noticed? When you notice a mistake like this, the question is to fix or not to fix. In this case, this will be going to some little kid that I don't even know, and I did not want to have this mistake in the quilt, so I decided to tear these 2 blocks out and flip them around the right way. It was not fun, and it took me a whole nother hour to fix it, but in my opinion, this fix was worth it. And I gotta say, these zigzag quilting stitches that I use, man, it made it way easier to tear these out and redo it. Even though I had already quilted the whole quilt, because I did a simple quilting, it was easy to just undo the zigzag, undo these 2 quilt blocks, and flip them around the right way. Take out the binding. Again, the binding was a zigzag stitch on top of a straight stitch, so it was not too hard to take the binding apart just for that little section. Well, I hope you enjoyed this layer cake design that you can complete in 4 hours if you don't make a mistake, 5 hours if you make the same mistake I made. This quilt would be super easy for a beginning quilter to complete start to finish. If you enjoyed this video, I invite you to subscribe and then click that little bell icon. You'll get notified when I post new videos. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you had fun, and I hope to see you back again real soon.